To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship it shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages, fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came there and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, and shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if you be ready at that time, be ready that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the image which I have made well. But if you worship not, you shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? And so let's go back and look at a few things. So, when we are involved in idolatry, we create an image. And that image looms larger than the thing it represents.
Come on now.
Are you with me? When we operate in idolatry, we create an image, and it looms larger, and in a lot of ways represents a higher value than the thing it actually represents. He made it of gold. He made it very tall. Let's see, 6 cubits. No, let's see, 3 score cubits. That's 60 times 18. Someone can do the math. It's tall. I think it's 90 feet is what it adds up to. Okay, think about it, 90 feet. Okay, that's an image for you. You want to make sure no one can miss it. Are you with me? Yeah, this was the days of skyscrapers. So this would have been seen from a long way. 90 feet. Are you with me? And notice in verse 2, he invites everybody. Specifically, everybody of importance in that kingdom, everyone of power in that kingdom. Because he wants them all to bow down to the image. The image he created. And has the audacity to dedicate the image. Are you with me? Now notice, he says, we're going to play some music, and that's your cue to worship. So, when I'm involved in idolatry, I choose how I want to be worshipped. I select the method of worship. Are you with me? Okay? The problem is, since I have selected it, if you don't worship the way I have chosen, what's the answer? The answer is death. Now, no Christian ever wants to think that they do that, but when we operate in idolatry, we operate in death because we judge that person. See, they have not come to us as we wanted to be come to. See, we've created a form of worship, so when whoever we run into doesn't come to us in that way, death is the answer. But of course, we don't think death, but we will judge that person. Now, the Bible tells us when we operate in judgment, we operate in murder. It's the same thing. Are you with me? Idolatry leads to murder, one way or the other. Are you with me? Notice also that there's no patience here. It says, in the same hour, you'll be cast into the burning fire. When I operate in idolatry, and Marcus led us through this a few weeks ago in Romans chapter 1, when I operate in idolatry, I'm also operating in impatience. Now notice, princes, governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, We don't know how many people, but you can expect in a big kingdom of Babylon, this was quite a number of people. Yet, they all get ignored for 3 people. Now notice, idolatry causes you to ignore the fact you are being worshipped and focus on the ones who don't worship you. Some people say, well King, pretty much other than these 3, everyone's worshiping you. Just take that. No. See, idolatry doesn't allow you to do that. Idolatry wants the same thing God commands. Remember we read it? Thou shalt love the Lord with what? All. And idolatry wants to do what God is supposed to get.
That's right.
He wants all to worship Him. Are you with me? So when we operate in idolatry, we're insisting people do to us what God is saying we're supposed to do to Him. And we will go after those that don't love us. Now that's where we separate. See, God is not chastising those that don't love Him. They are technically already judged. He's not doing something special for those that don't believe. He says, well, they're going to be judged. That's done. But when in idolatry, we can't rest on that. Because impatience is a major portion of idolatry. So we're going to go after those who don't worship in the manner we have chosen. And get them to repent. Now notice, worship is more important than carrying out the command. Now let me make sure that you see this. Let's look at it. See, here's what the herald said. The herald said, in verse 6, whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the fire. Now notice there's no condition. If you don't worship, you die. You with me? Now, here's what's happening over here when these 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, don't do it. In verse 15, they're not cast into the fire. They're given another option. Well, you sure you don't want to worship? See, with idolatry, it's more important to get the worship than to get rid of worshipers. Are you with me? So notice, idolatry has hypocrisy built into it anyway. Do you see that? Because the king is not doing what the king said.
Right.
So you be cast into this out. Right. But there was no condition given. The herald didn't give any conditions.
That's right.
He didn't say, by the way, we'll come and check to see if you still want to do it. And if you repent, then, no. He said, you can be cast in the fire that hour.
Right.
Absolutely. But because he wants to be worshipped, he still gives him another chance. Are you with me? Okay? He still gives another chance. So hypocrisy is built into idolatry as well. Okay? Now, we'll come back to the king, but let's talk about the forms of idolatry, since that is actually the title for today's message. You know, let's go to Matthew 16:24, Brother David's favorite verse. Or at least it used to be. Matthew 16:24, then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. Now go to Luke 14. Let him deny himself. And God doesn't leave us without definition. Just in case we don't know what himself is, he tells us what himself is. Just in case there's any doubt of what denying himself means, in Luke 14, verse 26, he expands what that is. Luke 14, verse 26. If any man come to me and hate not his father in relation to God, mother in relation to God, wife in relation to God, children in relation to God, brethren, sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciples. He is reiterating what we read before. If we love God, we have to love God exclusively. Above mommy and daddy and brother and sister and wife and children and so forth. They cannot come between me and the Lord. Nor can I share my love with them. I have to give all my love to the Lord and love them with the love of God. Are you with me? So when he says deny yourself, he's saying no, not just you, but all the folks that are close to you. That's part of yourself. Deny them too. They have to become second class now. God has to become first. My eye has to be single. Focus on the Lord. Set your affections on high. Are you with me? So Self-idolatry is where I don't exactly agree with the Lord on that. Self-idolatry is where one of those people